Okay, so let's dive into something that I think everyone struggles with at some point
Oh, yeah.
when they're selling online.
Absolutely.
Pricing.
Uh-huh.
Pricing your products.
Big one.
Yeah, it can be a real pain point.
It is.
It feels like,
Oh, yeah.
you price too high and you're going to scare people off, but you price too low.
Right.
You're leaving money on the table.
Yeah, you're undervaluing yourself, for sure.
Totally. And we're really lucky today to be diving deep into this blogwidow.com article
Yeah.
all about the art of pricing.
The art of pricing.
Getting into how to set profitable prices for your online products.
It's a good one.
So whether you are just thinking about launching a product or you've had your business up and running for a while,
Right.
we're going to cover some tactics today that will help you
For sure.
at any stage of your business.
Absolutely.
So one of the things I thought was really interesting, and actually maybe this is obvious, but sometimes you need to hear the obvious things.
Oh, for sure.
Is that you have to understand your costs
Right.
before you can even think about
Absolutely.
what to charge.
You can't know what to charge if you don't know what it costs you to make it.
Right. And I think this is something that a lot of people kind of just like gloss over.
Yeah, they have a general sense,
Yeah.
but they don't really break it down.
Right.
And this article goes into detail about fixed costs and variable costs.
Okay. Can you break those down for us?
Yeah.
Because I think that's important to understand the difference.
Right. So let's say you're running an online bakery.
Okay.
A fixed cost would be something like your rent
Okay.
for your kitchen space
Got it.
or your website hosting fees.
So things that are going to be the same
The same every month, regardless of how much you're selling.
Okay.
Your variable costs are directly related to how much you're making.
Okay.
So if you're making cakes, the ingredients would be a variable cost.
Yeah.
So the flour,
sugar, eggs, milk, all that stuff.
packaging.
Yeah, packaging, shipping,
Okay.
all of that.
So the more cakes you sell,
Mm-hmm.
the more your variable costs go up.
Exactly.
Got it.
And I think it's really important to keep track of both of those because that really allows you to set prices that are going to make sure that you are actually making a profit.
And I think that a lot of people, they kind of,
I guess.
they're like, oh, I think I spend this much.
Right.
And they don't actually sit down and figure it out. But it seems like the article is saying like successful businesses, they know those numbers inside and out.
Like the back of their hand.
Right. So you got to know your costs. The next thing is to think about your competitive landscape.
Yeah. It's like scoping out the other vendors at a farmer's market.
Oh, that's a good, right.
Yeah.
What are they offering?
Yeah. What are
they charging?
Charging. What's everybody else doing?
Exactly.
What's the going rate?
Yep. And a lot of people, I think, when they're first starting out, they're like, oh, I just need to be the cheapest.
Right.
Just undercut everybody.
Yeah. Just get as low as possible so people will come to me.
But the article cautions against that.
Interesting, because that race to the bottom
it's not sustainable.
Is not going to work out for you.
No. And they talk about, instead of focusing on being the cheapest, focus on value.
Okay.
Develop a USP.
What's a USP?
A unique selling proposition.
Okay, so what makes you stand out?
Stand out.
What makes you special?
So even if your product is very similar to someone else's,
right,
you've got to figure out, like, what is it about mine that's different or better?
And communicate that.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you
do that?
How do you do that?
I think a good example is, let's say you sell handmade candles.
There's a ton of people selling handmade candles online.
Right.
So what makes yours different?
Yeah.
Do you use all natural ingredients?
Okay.
Are you donating a portion of your profits to a good cause? You know.
So things that people care about.
Yeah, things that people will actually pay a little bit more for.
Yeah, because you're not just selling a candle. You're selling
It's an experience.
An experience. You're selling a feeling.
A lifestyle.
A lifestyle. Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is a really good point because instead of just thinking, I need to be the cheapest, you need to think about, like, what is it about my brand that makes it worth paying a little bit more for?
Yeah. What value are you adding?
Totally.
Yeah.
This leads us to value-based pricing.
Yes.
So tell me about...
So this is where you move beyond just adding a standard markup to your cost.
Right. So not just saying, okay, it costs me this much to make.
Right.
I'm going to add 20%.
And that's what I'm going to sell it for.
Yeah.
It's really thinking about, what is your product actually worth?
Yeah. And how do you determine that?
To your customers.
To your customers, right. Because that seems kind of subjective.
It is. Yeah. It is a little bit subjective.
So how do we...
But the article gives us some good questions to ask ourselves.
Okay, hit me.
So the first one is, how does your product solve a problem? for your customer.
So not just what is my product, but how does it help somebody?
What need does it fill? What pain point does it address?
So instead of saying I'm selling a handcrafted leather bag, you're saying I'm selling a bag that is going to help you organize your life and
make you feel more stylish.
Make you feel more confident.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
And then the second question is, what unique features does your product offer?
So what makes it stand out?
What makes it special?
So for that bag, you might say, it's made with this really high-quality leather.
Right.
It's hand-stitched.
It's got a lifetime warranty.
It's got all these extra pockets that are really useful.
Exactly.
Yeah. And then the last question I think is really interesting.
What are you doing?
Is why would customers choose your product over a competitor's?
Yeah, why you?
Why me?
Why should they pick you?
And I think this one's hard because sometimes it's like, well, I don't know. They should just choose me because I'm awesome.
But you have to articulate it.
But you have to articulate it.
Yeah.
So you've got to think about, you know.
What is it about you?
What is it about me?
That's special.
Yeah.
What's your story?
That makes it worth it.
Yeah.
So I think these are really good questions to ask yourself.
They are.
You know, when you are trying to determine pricing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it really forces you to go deeper than just a number.
Right. Because I think if you don't think about these things, you just end up kind of being like,
just throwing something out there?
Hey, I guess this will work.
Or copying somebody else.
Right. And then you end up in that race to the bottom.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked about
the cost.
Cost.
We've talked about value.
Value.
Now let's talk a little bit about the psychology of pricing.
Ooh,
because
this is where it gets good.
This is where it gets fun.
Okay.
Because it's not all logic and numbers.
Right. There's these little things that you can do.
Little tricks of the trade.
Yeah, that can make people more likely to buy.
Absolutely.
So tell me about some of these tricks.
All right. So the first one is charm pricing.
Charm pricing.
Have you ever noticed that things tend to end in 99 cents or 95 cents?
I mean, yes. Like, who hasn't fallen for this?
We all have.
$19.99.
Right.
Feels so much better than $20.
It does. It feels so much cheaper.
Even though it's basically the same price?
Basically the same price.
But in our brains, it's like, oh, $19?
The 19, I can do that.
It's that left digit that gets us.
That left digit is very powerful.
It is very powerful.
Okay, so charm pricing.
Charm pricing.
Got it.
What about price anchoring?
Price anchoring? What is that?
You know those ads where they show you a price and it's like crossed out?
Oh, yeah.
And then the price underneath?
Originally $100.
Yes.
Now only $50.
Exactly.
Yeah. I fall for that every time.
It makes you feel like you're getting a deal.
I know.
Even if, like,
oh my God,
it was never actually $100.
I'm saving so much money.
Right. I know. It's so good.
But that's what they want you to think.
It's like they're setting the bar really high and then being like...
and then knocking it down.
Just kidding. It's only this much.
But in your brain, you're like, oh.
It's such a good deal.
Saving money.
I know.
I'm winning.
Okay, price anchoring. I'm going to keep that one in mind.
Yeah.
What else?
Okay, bundling.
Oh.
Bundling is when you package products together.
Okay.
At a discount.
Okay.
So let's say you are selling skincare products. Instead of selling the cleanser, the toner and the moisturizer separately, you bundle them all together in a skincare set.
And then it's a little bit cheaper.
It's a little bit cheaper.
Than buying them all separately.
And people feel like they're getting a deal.
They feel like they're getting more.
Yeah, and they're more likely to buy.
Right, okay, bundling, got it.
So we've got charm, pricing, price anchoring.
Price anchoring.
And bundling.
Bundling.
All these little psychological tricks.
I love it.
That can really help boost your sales.
So all of this is like, we're really getting strategic here with our pricing.
Yeah. It's not just a random number.
Yeah.
You're really thinking about it.
It's a whole process.
It's a process.
Okay. And the nice thing is that online, you can really experiment.
Yeah.
You can test things out.
You can test it out.
And see what's working.
Yeah.
So what kind of experimentation are we talking about?
So they talk about A/B testing.
Okay, A/B testing.
In the article.
I've heard of that for like websites.
For websites, email marketing, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So what is A/B testing when it comes to pricing?
So let's say you have two different prices in mind.
Okay.
For a product. You could show half your visitors one price.
Okay.
And half your visitors the other price.
See which one performs better.
And see which one performs better.
Okay. And is that something that like you can do like built into?
There's software that does it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that is really cool.
It is.
Because you don't have to guess you can actually get data.
You can see the data.
To back it up.
You can see what people are actually doing.
Okay.
And this also highlights another point that the article makes, which is pricing shouldn't be static.
Okay. What does that mean?
So you don't want to just set a price and then forget about it.
Oh, so you're not just going to like set it and forget it.
Set it and forget it because the market changes.
Right.
Your cost might change.
Yeah.
Customer preferences change. You have to be able to adapt.
So how do we know when to adjust our prices?
Yeah. What are some scenarios where you might
give me some examples.
Need to adjust your prices?
Okay.
So let's say you launch a new product.
Okay.
And it's just not selling.
Oh.
Nobody's buying it.
Nightmare.
That could be a sign that your price is too high.
Okay.
Maybe you need to lower it a little bit.
Okay.
To see if that...
To test it out.
Yeah, to see if that stimulates some demand.
Okay, so you're not afraid to adjust if things aren't working?
Right. And on the other hand,
okay,
let's say demand for your product skyrockets.
Okay.
It goes viral on TikTok or something.
You're selling out.
You're selling out.
Okay.
You might need to raise your prices a little bit to reflect that.
So it's all about finding that balance.
Finding that balance.
Between what people are willing to pay.
Right.
And what is going to keep you in business.
And what's going to make you money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So we've talked about cost. We've talked about value. Okay. We've talked about psychology.
We've talked about experimenting.
Talked about adapting.
Now, discounts. Everybody loves a good discount.
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like as a business owner, discounts can be a little bit scary. Yeah. Because I know I've been guilty of this.
We all have.
Of like just slashing prices to get people to buy.
Especially when you're first starting out.
Yes.
You feel like you have to do whatever it takes to get those sales.
Yeah. But I think the article...
What the article makes a good point.
Makes a good point, which is...
that...
That can devalue your brand.
Right. If you're always on sale, people aren't going to want to pay full price.
Right. It's like, why would I buy it now when it's going to be 50% off?
Black Friday is just around the corner.
In 2 weeks.
Exactly.
So how do we do discounts?
Right. So it's all about strategic discounts.
Okay.
Limited time offers.
Okay.
Seasonal sales. Flash sales.
Okay. So make it feel like an event.
Make it an event.
Yeah.
Create a sense of urgency.
Don't just have a permanent...
Yeah. Don't just have a sale banner.
Sale banner on your website.
Up all the time.
Right.
Because then it's not special.
Okay, so think about it more strategically.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah.
So you can still do discounts.
You can still do discounts.
But you've got to...
But be smart about it.
Be smart about it.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered...
So we've covered a lot.
A lot today.
We've got cost, value,
psychology, adaptive discounts.
Yeah.
I do want to mention, just briefly...
a couple of more advanced pricing strategies that the article touches on.
Okay, give me the advanced stuff.
So the first one is dynamic pricing.
Dynamic pricing.
Which we talked about a little bit earlier.
I think you mentioned that with the airlines.
With the airlines.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's when you adjust your prices.
Okay.
Based on demand, competitor pricing.
Okay.
All sorts of different factors.
It's like an algorithm.
It's an algorithm. That's figuring out
the best price.
What the best price is.
At any given time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's not for everybody.
Right. That seems like...
It's definitely more advanced.
Very advanced.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you are in an industry where, let's say you have limited inventory.
Okay.
Or your costs are fluctuating a lot.
Yeah.
It might be something to look into.
Okay, so that's dynamic pricing.
Dynamic pricing.
And then what was the other one?
The other one is customer segmentation.
Customer segmentation.
This is the idea that...
Not all customers are created equal.
Right.
Some customers are more valuable to you than others.
So like the repeat customer.
Your repeat customers, your loyal customers.
There's just somebody who's just...
Versus someone who's just browsing.
Coming in for the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you might offer different pricing
to
different segments of your customers.
So you might reward those loyal customers.
Yeah, like give them a discount.
Special
Special offer.
Okay, or early access.
Early access.
Or a sale or something.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it's about tailoring your pricing to your specific customer groups.
Right.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's about building relationships.
Yeah. It feels very human.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. It's not just transactional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've covered so much today in this deep dive.
We have.
About pricing.
The big topic.
And I already feel like I have so many good takeaways. Like, I feel like I can actually go and apply this to my business.
That's what we want.
Which is what we want.
Yeah.
So to kind of recap.
Yeah.
We've learned that understanding our costs is like foundational. We cannot skip that step.
Absolutely not.
We've got to know our numbers.
You got to know your numbers.
Okay, and then we've got to research our competitors.
Right, but not to copy them. Not to copy them.
But to
understand the landscape.
Understand where you fit in.
Right, where we fit in.
Yeah.
Okay, and then instead of just trying to be the cheapest, we've got to highlight our value.
Our unique value proposition.
Our USP.
Our USP. And then we've got all this psychology stuff.
All the psychology.
Which is so fun.
It is fun.
Like you can actually use these little
tricks to make
people nudge people in the right direction.
More likely to buy.
Exactly.
And then, of course,
we've got to remember that pricing is not
static.
It's not set it and forget it.
It's not set it and forget it.
It's constantly evolving.
Yeah. Yeah, things change.
Things change.
All the time.
You got to be ready to adapt.
And we can use tools like A/B testing.
A/B testing to help us figure out.
See what's working.
What's working.
What's not working.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but I feel like this has really changed my
perspective.
Perspective on pricing.
Absolutely.
Like I used to think it was just this like scary thing.
Overwhelming.
Yeah. I didn't know what I was doing. Yeah. And now I feel like I have
a plan.
I have some tools.
A toolkit.
I have a toolkit.
You got this.
I got this.
I love it.
All right. So we've covered a lot today. But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with this question.
Okay.
We've talked about all these strategies. But what about the ethics of pricing?
How do you
That's a good one.
Make sure that you're pricing your products in a way that is fair to your customers?
Not just taking advantage of people.
To yourself.
And to yourself.
Yeah.
That's a really good question. And I think we should definitely...
Something to think about.
Think about that.
For sure.
So thank you.
For joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
For this deep dive.
Yeah.
Into the art of pricing.
The art of pricing. We'll see you next time.
See you later. Yeah, it really does. And it sort of goes hand in hand with this whole idea of value-based pricing that we've been talking about.
Right. It's about understanding that your customers are individuals with different needs and preferences. Okay. So I think we've covered so much today.
We have.
Like we've really gone deep.
We've gone deep on pricing. The art of pricing.
So just to recap, we talked about understanding our costs.
Knowing your numbers.
Knowing your numbers.
Yeah.
We talked about researching our competitors.
Right.
But not copying them.
Not to copy them.
Understanding where we fit in.
Understanding the landscape.
Yeah. We talked about highlighting our value.
Unique selling propositions.
Our USP.
Yes.
And then we got into all the psychology stuff.
All the fun psychology.
All those little tricks.
Little tricks.
Charm
price anchoring.
Yes.
Bundling.
Yeah. And then, of course, we talked about how pricing...
is not static.
Is not static. It's not a set it and forget it.
No, you got to be willing to adapt.
You got to adapt to the market.
To the market, to your customers.
To our customers.
To your costs.
To everything.
Everything's always changing.
Yeah, and A/B testing.
A/B testing.
Is our friend.
Is your friend, yes.
So I feel like this has been a really helpful,
eye-opening.
Yeah, deep dive.
Deep dive. Because like I said, I used to be so intimidated by pricing.
Yeah.
But now I feel like...
You have the tools.
I have the tools.
You have a framework.
Yes. And I can approach it with confidence.
Confidence and creativity.
Oh,
absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Of course.
For joining me today.
It's been my pleasure.
For this deep dive on the art of pricing.
The art of pricing.
I feel like we've given our listeners so much to think about.
A lot to chew on.
A lot to chew on.
Yeah.
And hopefully they can go out there and...
Yeah. And actually use this stuff.
Yeah. And make more money.
Make more money.
Who doesn't want to make more money?
Exactly.
So...
Thank you again.
You're welcome.
For being here.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see everybody.
See you next time.
Next time for another deep dive.
It really is. It's all about, finding that right price for you and for your customers.
And finding that balance.
Finding that balance, exactly.
Well, this has been such a great conversation.
It has.
I think we've covered
so much
about pricing. About pricing.
Yeah.
I feel like I've learned a lot.
Good.
So much.
I'm glad.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
And for sharing all your wisdom.
Of course.
With our listeners.
Happy to do it.
I think they're going to have a lot to think about.
Lots to chew on.
And a lot of new tools to apply
to
their businesses.
Absolutely.
So until next time, everybody.
See you later.
Happy pricing.
Happy pricing.